Have you ever found yourself pausing, maybe, scrolling through news feeds and just wondering, where is Melania Trump?
hmm
Or maybe even thinking, what's really going on with America's former First Lady?
Yeah, it's definitely a question that's lingered for a lot of people, I think. She can be pretty elusive.
Exactly. So today, we're doing a deep dive to sort of peel back the layers on that relationship. It's often seemed quite shrouded in mystery, hasn't it? And we're drawing directly from some specific source material here.
That's right. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is to explore the nature of Melania and Donald Trump's relationship. We want to uncover insights, observations, maybe some that might surprise you, and it's all based on, well, a very particular set of sources.
Okay, and the core of our discussion today, it stems from the reporting of Michael Wolff. Now, he's a biographer, incredibly well known for his extensive books on Donald Trump.
Right. Very well known.
And what's crucial here for you to understand is Wolff's access. It sounds pretty unique. He's apparently spent a decade documenting the Trumps, and that includes one-on-one time with Melania herself.
Yeah, that one-on-one time is key, I think.
Yeah.
And we're looking at insights revealed most recently in an interview he did on 60 Minutes Australia.
60 Minutes Australia. Okay, that's interesting in itself.
Well, yeah, and what's particularly striking about Wolff's reporting, as highlighted in the material we looked at, is that his account there on the Australian show seemed to diverge pretty significantly from what maybe was being reported by, say, 60 Minutes back in North America.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that raises some immediate kind of intriguing questions about how different media outlets might cover the same, high-profile figures.
That's a crucial point, that divergence. Wow. It really sets the stage for how we interpret these claims he's making, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So, our goal today is basically to quickly but thoroughly unpack the most impactful nuggets of knowledge, let's call them, from these insights. We want to give you a concise but still comprehensive understanding of the situation as reported. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's jump straight into what might be the most, striking revelation from Wolff's reporting. It's a big one, and it really challenges public perception. The assertion that Melania Trump actually hates Donald Trump.
It's quite a statement, isn't it? And Wolff, he recounts a very impactful anecdote that kind of drives this home.
Yeah.
He describes asking someone, described as very close to the couple, if Melania loved Donald. Simple question, right?
Seems straightforward enough.
Yeah, but this person, according to Wolff, responded with this bluntness that suggested Wolff was, I think the quote was, a real dunce for even asking.
Wow.
And the person just stated, she hates his fucking guts.
Whoa. Okay, that's intense language.
It is. And this level of, alleged animosity, if it's true, it profoundly shapes how you might view her public appearances, her political role. It suggests a much, much deeper disconnect than just, say, wanting privacy.
That is an incredibly stark picture. Does Wolff elaborate more on, who Melania Trump is, maybe beyond just her purported feelings towards Donald? Like, how does he characterize her?
He does, yeah. Wolff offers a three-word summary for her character. He calls her opportunistic, calculated, transactional.
Opportunistic, calculated, transactional.
Which really contrasts sharply, doesn't it, with a certain public perception. Sometimes she seems to have this heightened graciousness. Wolff himself recalled seeing her at what he called a wedding table type of event.
Okay.
Where she was just continuously say, yes, thank you, oh, that's so nice. So it paints a very different picture, the public versus the private persona, according to him.
It really does. And given what we've just heard about her characterization, opportunistic, calculated, transactional, and that alleged feeling, it makes that broader question even more pressing, doesn't it? The one people always ask, where is America's former First Lady?
Exactly.
Wolff observes, apparently, that she's nowhere to be found and seems only there when she absolutely needs to be.
Precisely. And, Wolff's reporting highlights specific instances of this reported absence, particularly during Donald Trump's many criminal trials last year. Remember all that?
Oh, yeah. Hard to forget.
Including the Stormy Daniels hush money case, the one about business records. And there's a really notable anecdote he shares related to that.
What's that?
Apparently, a Trump aide reportedly approached Melania, saying she, stand by your man, said it would be really good for PR standard stuff, maybe.
Right. You'd expect that kind of advice.
But her alleged response, according to Wolff, she just laughed and said, nice try.
Just nice try. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty telling, if true.
And Wolff's assertion here is quite strong then, isn't it? He's saying Melania wasn't consistently present during the first White House term, and she's not expected to be in a potential second term either.
He goes even further, actually. He makes the, well, controversial claim that the truth surrounding Melania's whereabouts is being covered up by the White House.
Covered up. That's a strong claim.
It is. It certainly raises eyebrows when you consider the level of public interest in any First Lady.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, if she's so consistently absent, according to this reporting, and if Wolff's claims about her feelings, like that hates his guts comment, are accurate, it makes you really wonder what the actual nature of their marriage is behind closed doors.
Well, Wolff asserts that while, yes, Melania and Donald Trump are technically husband and wife,
Technically.
right, but
Right.
by any other definition of the word, they no longer have a relationship. That's his take.
No relationship by any other definition.
Yeah. His reporting elaborates that they are not together if together means actually being in the same physical space. The description he gives is pretty stark. These are two people who live separate lives.
Separate lives.
He emphasizes everything is separate. They are not together.
So wait, are they saying they don't even live together? Like, physically?
That's the implication. The source material notes Wolff observes they don't live together, they are never together. And then poses the sort of rhetorical question, has it ever been true in the White House? Implying maybe this separation was happening even then.
Wow, okay. So if they don't live together, if they're never together, it really challenges the whole perception of what their marriage is, doesn't it?
Completely.
So given this really stark description, the biggest question, I think, that jumps out is, why? Why does she stay, if all this is true?
It's the million-dollar question, right? Or maybe multi-million-dollar question here. Wolff's suggested motivation, based on his reporting, is that it probably works for her just fine.
Works for her, how so?
Well, the idea is she lives the life that she wants. She enjoys, quote, the life of a very wealthy woman.
Ah, okay. So the lifestyle.
Seems to be the implication. And his reporting explicitly concludes Melania is not a prisoner. She's choosing this arrangement, basically.
He's not a prisoner. Okay. This all brings us to a really significant point, then, about the media's role in all this, particularly how this specific story is or maybe isn't being covered.
Right.
Wolff makes a pretty strong observation, doesn't he? That the story of Melania's absence, the nature of her relationship, it is just not really even a story in mainstream American media.
Yeah, he finds that striking, and he draws a very pointed comparison. He says, if this were Obama, or if this were Biden, or this were any other Democrat, he claims it would be wall-to-wall news. Particularly, he suggests, on channels like Fox News. Wolff's reporting really conveys this claim that much of the media is basically complicit in this.
Complicit? What?
And even subservient to Trump. That they're focused on trying to make him happy rather than reporting what's actually happening. Strong words.
Very strong words. And didn't he also express surprise that 60 Minutes Australia even ran the story?
Yeah, he apparently expressed shock they ran it at all and believes that the full extent of this narrative, well, you might never hear in America.
Never hear it in America. That's quite a statement about the media landscape.
It is, and Wolff's reporting doesn't just stop at their relationship, you know. He ties this situation to a broader implication. He suggests it speaks to a broader rot in Donald Trump, and certainly in his relationships.
A broader rot.
Yeah, it suggests a dynamic where maybe the public narrative is very carefully controlled, perhaps, and the media's role in that control, or lack of scrutiny, becomes a central question for us to consider.
Okay, so just to recap then, this deep dive, drawing heavily from Michael Wolff's insights and his, apparently uniquely close observations over a decade, it really reveals a strikingly different picture of Melania Trump's public role and private relationship than what's maybe commonly perceived.
Definitely different.
We've heard about her purported feelings, that incredibly strong hates his guts, quote, her characterization as opportunistic and transactional.
Right. Calculated, too.
Calculated, yes. Her consistent absence, particularly during those trials, and the alleged nature of her completely separate life from Donald Trump.
Separate lives, not prisoners, choosing the lifestyle. All part of the picture Wolff paints.
So, as you, listening, reflect on all this, maybe consider, what does it mean for the role of a public figure, especially someone like a first lady, when the private reality of their most significant relationship is alleged to be so profoundly different from the public facade we see?
Yeah, that's a great question. And add to that, what if, as Wolff claims, much of the media largely overlooks it or doesn't dig deeper, what might that dynamic suggest about, well, our evolving expectations of transparency versus privacy in high-profile political life, especially when it comes to the most powerful relationships right at the center of it all? Something to think about.